Hey, welcome into another edition of the H-Town Huddle. We are in week 7, believe it or not, but here we are, folks. We've made it. The Texans are actually 5-1 throughout this huge first stretch of the season. Congratulations to them so far, taking care of business last week, taking care of a lot of business with traveling on over to New England, getting the first win ever in franchise history out there, folks, in Foxborough. So congratulations to the Houston Texans once again, 41-21, butt whooping. Belt to ass. Texans take care of New England. What a game! I mean, it was just great to see from start to finish. There was a couple of lapses on defense, but overall, really good victory for the Houston Texans. It's what you kind of wanted to see, them operating on all cylinders, getting the run game going. We'll get into all of that goodness when we get there. But first and foremost, like I said, just kind of want to take care of some of the folks in the chat. Lee was out there. Appreciate you, Lee. And everybody else out here rocking with us on a Wednesday night, 8:30 Central, like we always do it every single Wednesday. So appreciate everybody for showing up and showing out. And the Houston Texans showed up and showed out on Sunday in Foxborough. So getting the win, 41-21, like I mentioned, great stuff for them. Just super pumped, 5-1, heading over now this week. They head to Lambeau, so it's another road game for them. Historic. Coach D'Amico talked about it. It's like, birthplace, huge place for football. So this is, a lot of history there. And the Texans themselves, these players that never got a chance to go and play out there, should really take all this in, treat it like a huge game that it is. And I think that both of these teams are very similar. We'll get to all the breakdowns here in a bit. But we're going to recap the New England game first and foremost, obviously. And then we'll take it from there. Hey, shout out to Ghost Monkey, man. Good to see you. Appreciate you being in the chat, bro. All right. Well, let's. I have some good news for you guys. I was able to work on some things during my lunch break, so I put together a couple of videos. But in the meantime, like I said, we will go over some of the other things from the game. Like I said, let's break down the schedule here. 5-1. They took care of Buffalo in the H-Town Blue debut game, and then last week 41-21. On the road in New England, getting the first win ever in Foxborough, like I mentioned. And then now moving on the road once again to Green Bay, where the Texans, I don't believe they fared well over there. I think overall the Texans are 4-1 versus the Packers in their history. So hold on, I'm sorry, went to the wrong banners box. Sorry, folks, bear with me. Technical difficulties. I thought it was ready. Yeah, Packers lead 4-1 all time over the Texans. So that is the next game on the schedule here in week 7. So super pumped for that one. Should be a barn burner, really close one. We'll get to the odds and all that stuff. But like I mentioned, I did want to recap last week's game first, and then we'll move on over. And just a quick reminder that we are having a sale on the website, neonpeacockmerch.com. Right now, there are less than $14 t-shirts and regular classic styles, plus the entire website is 35% off. So make sure you guys are heading on over there, checking that stuff out. Plenty of new t-shirts on the way as well. Typically after Wednesdays when I do this show, I'll be able to knock out a whole bunch of other designs and things of that nature so we can get that stuff going. So make sure you're checking out neonpeacockmerch.com. This sale does last for another week. We are rocking that thing till 10/21, and there's plenty of Halloween stuff up there as well, nickname Hall of Fame, things of that nature. So make sure you're checking out our sponsor, neonpeacockmerch.com. But like I mentioned, Texans 41-21 victory, chilling, none of their business, just taking it nice and easy in their H-Town Blues this past weekend, feeling really good now sitting at 5-1. So you're playing great football. It's hard to be beat. And there is a direct quote from CJ Stroud in the press conference. He says, when you're playing like that, it's very hard to be beat, and played well. They did. Let's go ahead, and this is a good moment to take a little peek. Yeah, we did. We witnessed some history. We saw the Texans take down New England for the first time ever in Foxborough. And make sure you're getting your allegedly t-shirts. That stuff is super dope. It's probably the first design on the website when you guys head on over there. So make sure you check that out. Take a look. Put it on a sweatshirt right now. You can get them for like $30. Everything's 35% off the website. So go take a gander, take a peek, put some cool merch on your body, and rep the GWN network Neon Peacock merch. Every purchase supports a struggling artist like myself. It just helps me pay for all the apps that I use to create my designs. I don't pocket a lot of the extra cash or anything like that. And, $13 t-shirts, I'm not making much money off of that. So this is for you guys because I love you guys. And that's why we do it. Yeah, we definitely witnessed history, and let's witness a little history. I do have a video I was able to put together about the Texans offense. So here it goes. Take a look.
Beats, make it funky, funky, funky.
There you have it. There you have it. Texans offense looking extremely sharp, man. Doing their thing out there. So you saw heavy doses of Joe Mixon. So welcome back, Joe Mixon. 132 scrimmage yards. You saw the 2 total touchdowns, 1 on the ground, 1 in the air. This man should have been the FedEx Ground and Air Player of the Week, folks, if you know what I'm talking about. But they are not a sponsor. So, yeah, this guy makes the offense run now, especially with Nico Collins on the IR. This is the other playmaker here. We haven't had a huge chance other than week 1 to see both of them in action together. The Texans putting up 30 points in that week 1 game versus Indy on the road, without, much practice and all that stuff. So they looked really sharp week 1. You get Joe Mixon back after his basically 3.5-week absence after the hip drop tackle, which caused his high ankle sprain. You saw in the video, he had a long breakaway run. Looked like he had a little hitch in his giddy up at the end, but he is getting healthier. He was limited today in practice. We'll get to the injury report in a bit, but really good to see him back. Once you set this up, you establish the run, you can play action. It's a lot easier for CJ Stroud to get looks down the field and set up other plays in the Bobby Slowick scheme there that they run. So Joe Mixon is an extremely valuable piece to this offense. They got Dameon Pierce back as well. You saw him break off a long run there that was juxtaposed with another long run. It's very similar to one that he had last year. So Dameon Pierce still with some juice, still a player that can be counted on as the backup, and hence why they shipped up Cam Akers, but we'll get to that as well. So here's a big difference here, brought to you by NFL Game Day. With Mixon, the Texans, obviously, right? 3 wins kind of deal. Without him, the 2-1, the win-loss column here, he was in the game that he got knocked out of. You're going to call it a win, so they kind of count it that way. So that's how that works there. But yeah, through 6, Texans 5-1, looking really sharp. And then there's the points per game, huge difference there. 11 points, basically 11.5 points more, just about there per game with Mixon in the contest. So the rushing yards obviously nearly double as well, yards per carry. So he is the difference maker in this offense, man. Let's come back here and hit the Peacock. Super nice with the edit. Yeah, appreciate that. And make sure you guys, if you ever need any video edits, logo work, you look at all the beautiful stuff here that you're witnessing right now on the screen. This is all done from scratch. And yeah, the same thing with the video edits. I was able to knock them both out I have another one on the defense that, when we get there right now for you guys in a second. But I was able to knock those out during my lunch break today. Kind of put my foot to the pedal or the stone to the grind. I don't know what the saying is, but I was able to crunch out some video edits fairly quickly. So if you guys ever need any work like that, you know where to find me. But yeah, let's go back to breaking down this week with the Texans. I was talking about Joe Mixon in the run game. They did ship off Cam Akers. Cam Akers is now a Viking, traded back to the Vikings, where he was, not re-signed back in July. So pretty weird thing. This is the second time I believe that the Vikings trade for him, and the Texans receive a 6th-round conditional. They sent Akers and a 7th conditional. So we'll see what that shakes out to be. Probably percentage of snaps. If it's an Aaron Jones hip injury thing, which is what I'm guessing because he was not spotted at practice today. So it makes sense that you would trade for Cam Akers, right? And then with Joe Mixon and both Dameon Pierce returning to the lineup, looking very good versus the Patriots. And then Agumadwale being the goon, not only being the goon, but being the receiving back here, that would put Cam Akers at roughly the 4th or emergency running back. So Nick Caserio playing chess, not checkers. He's going to move up. He's going to grab he traded away a 7th to get a 6th, basically, for a guy that they've already used his services, and they probably weren't necessarily really content or happy with what he was able to accomplish in that time period. So, I think if Dameon Pierce is available and healthy in games when Joe Mixon, or if Joe Mixon were to get hurt again, that's probably the way that things would shake out. So there you have it. Let's keep on keeping on. Of course, CJ Stroud, boom, guys, magnificent. CJ Stroud versus the Blitz is PFF grade versus the Blitz, 88.7. That is first among all active QBs in 2024. So you want to blitz him, he's going to kill you. You want to sit back in zone, he's going to eat you up. So better watch out. You better not cry. These guys will be playing meaningful football in late December. All right. But yeah, very proud to be Stroud. You saw Tank Dell score a touchdown. He got 9 targets, folks, with Nico Collins out. He caught 7 of them. The yardage wasn't necessarily there, but he did find the end zone. So very happy, very excited for Tank Dell stepping up. He was in all my lineups except for one where I have a plethora of awesome wide receivers. And I just still at the end of the day, I regret it. I think he ended up with like 8 more fantasy points than my lowest scoring wide receiver. But regardless, Tank Dell, one of my favorite players in the entire NFL. I told you this guy's good. We do got to remember that, hey, he broke his fibia. Hey, he got shot. Hey, it's going to take a little bit of time and some work to get back in there. Most people don't come back from breaking a leg and getting shot mentally, let alone physically. And he was able to do this fairly quickly. So slow start to the season, but it looks like he's finally broke through and going to be picking it up. It's not like he was completely non-existent. He also did miss a game earlier this year with a rib injury or a chest injury. So kind of shaken up there as well. So this was his first game back from that, and he showed up when they needed him to. And of course, Stephon Diggs doing Stephon Diggs things, just being there. Although we did see him play a little bit more on the outside, moving him around with Nico Collins out. The Texans did play a lot of 11 personnel. They did play a lot of the 12 personnel running the ball, of course, with Joe Mixon. So not a lot of 3 wide receiver sets, which is why you only saw Xavier Hutchinson get 2 targets and 0 catches this week. So anybody else who's not named Stephon Diggs or Tank Dell, not necessarily going to get a lot of play in the wide receiver area. Dalton Schultz was, involved, like he was basically had a touchdown bounce off of his chest and turned into a CJ Stroud interception. So he could have had an even bigger and better fantasy day for the Houston Texans, if not for that. But hopefully Dalton will get it going a little bit. He's been somewhat disappointing. He does look slow every time I see him, but he is a reliable safety blanket to a certain extent. So that's how I feel about Dalton. Third, Joe mixed a lot, Dameon Pierce, and the goon with the spoon. Not a bad trio. Yeah, it kind of shaped up to be nice, and they can always call up somebody like J.J. Taylor off the practice squad just in case there's any emergencies. So I feel really confident about the running back room. Unfortunately, British Brooks was sent to the IR a couple of weeks ago, and he was like the undrafted, gonna knock you on your ass fullback. But the Texans have been using both tight ends in the fullback slot now, and that also allows them to send those guys out in routes from that position, which is pretty sneaky and really cool once you get into your offensive playbook calling back. So once slow now that Slow isn't so slow and he's being very John Wicky, the second part of his last name is just Slow Wick. Anyway, sorry, it was bad. Tried. But now that, he's kind of gotten into his bag and he's opened up the playbook, the Texans look like they're really flowing right now. It's good. And like I said, the key that churns the straw that stirs the drink there is Joe Mixon. But, on the other side of the coin here, there's obviously the Houston Texans defense, right? And they played exceptional. They forced the young rookie Drake May. We kind of saw this. We knew that it was going to happen. Went into some turnovers. He threw 2 picks, and he did also have a fumble. Will Anderson had 3 sacks as the AFC Defensive Player of the Week, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there it is. Defensive Player of the Week. He did have 3 sacks, and I believe he also had a pass batted that turned into an interception. So. Really crazy good stuff there. And the Texans with some takeaways finally in this game. They had kind of hitting a dry spell for the last couple of weeks. So one thing that they do pride themselves in is taking the football away. And that is from Houston's head coach, D'Amico Ryans, as, former linebacker from the Texans as well. That he hangs his hat. He likes to hang his hat on the way the defense played. And the defense played exceptionally well. Of course, they did allow Drake May to have some moments. Derek Stingley did get toasted on one play by Keyshawn Boutte, and Demario Douglas did eat up a backup, I guess like a third string corner with the absence of Kamari Lassiter, the rookie Kamari Lassiter, who did not practice today, which is also a little bit worrisome, obviously, when they're going to be facing Jordan Love and that very explosive, high-octane Packers offense with several receivers. Bogart saying, yes, we shall call him Slow John Wick. Yeah, exactly. Bobby Slow John Wick. We'll make it work. We got to remember to do that. But definitely, it definitely got in his bag once he starts, emptying the clips, right? Hopefully he's hitting on all those targets. CJ Stroud should be able to, he should be able to still do something against this Packers defense, although I do believe that their secondary is really good, borderline elite. And I do have some numbers and stuff like that for the banners, but we'll get into that in a second. Let's go ahead. I'm just eager to show you guys the other video clip. This one's a little slower. That way I can get to stretch my legs, rest my mouth, grab a quick snack. You guys enjoyed this roughly 2-minute long defensive slugfest that we call the Houston Texans Nightmare Fuel. This is Swarming of the Pats, Part 1.
Hey, you right here, man. Hey, for 60 minutes. One red battle down. Don't make no faults. I need everybody with you. Get the toe. If they ain't with, use it. Oh. Hey, take something, take something. 1, 2, 3. Hey,
Eric Murray with one of the craziest interceptions that you will probably ever see over the defender, around his helmet, tucking it away after the deflection from Will Anderson on the line. That thing was pure cinema, guys. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's what you like to see. Texans swarming to the football. Everybody, all hands on deck. And they're going to need all hands on deck when we get to the injury report right here. I actually do need to load that up because I forgot to do that earlier. But, right now, like I said, a little worried, just a tad, because it's going to be, oh, shoot, where did the injury report save to? No, it didn't save. Oh, there it is. Okay, perfect. I got scared. All right. So, like I said, some guys banged up early in the week, though. We got to see what's going to happen. But Azeez Al-Shaair is the big one. That's our agent zero, number 0, linebacker in the middle, captain of the defense, green dot guy. Did not practice with the knee. Now, he did sustain this knee injury in game and right at the end of the second half. And then he did come back out and play through some of that in the third quarter, but then he was out for the fourth quarter. So Henry Tuato ended up taking over the play calling shots on the defense. And then late in the fourth quarter, he gets freaking concussed. So now we're down both of our starting linebackers. The Texans don't play 3 linebackers. So right now, it doesn't look like we're going to get Tuato back. It's very hard to clear a concussion in that amount of time as a linebacker because you're constantly, smacking your head during practice. And then we'll have to see with Azeez. Like I said, he was able to play through it. He did not practice today. Maybe that's just like a rest day. It's a violent position. He went, balls to the wall once again for us. So if he doesn't go, you're going to see the likes of Neville Hewitt, who I believe had 7 tackles, which is pretty cool, in replacing Al-Shaair and maybe Del'Shawn Phillips. I haven't heard anything about Christian Harris. I know you guys are probably going to ask me, or at least Bogart will pretty soon. But I don't know if his calf just ripped from the bone and we don't know what the fuck happened, because he was supposed to come off of IR by now and we haven't seen it. Right now would be a great time to have somebody like Christian Harris come back into the lineup because it's going to be tough facing a Packers offense. Even if they are going to be missing a few guys, like Lee mentioned, they may be in trouble here. And shout out to our ear to the streets, Lee, saying Packers offense could be without 2 huge wide receivers. Could walk all over them depending on which wide receiver steps up for Green Bay, right? And I think all those guys can step up. It doesn't really matter who's out there. They can put, the dude sacking groceries at my local HEB up there for the Packers. And I think that he'll have a great day because Jordan Love is the guy. He has, I think, probably leading the NFL in touchdowns. I mean, he can fact check me on that, but I think he has over 12. And I'll get to that in a second when we get into the full breakdown. But like here it is. Love versus Arizona, he had 4 TDs, 1 interception, 119.5 rate. And in 4 games, he has 12 TDs and 6 interceptions. So, and you can see that at the bottom, scrolling at the bottom of the screen there. Other things that are going to be stuff to monitor as far as this injury report that came out today here for the Green Bay Packers. Futukasi with the shoulder didn't practice. That sucks. Kamari Lassiter, who missed this last week. We had to have Ross in there. No idea who that guy is. Gave up a whole ton of stuff to Demario Douglas, who had a huge game because of that. So really missing the rookie Kamari Lassiter in this one. Joe Mixon was limited, not too worried, probably like a veteran rest. Like I mentioned, little hitch in the giddy up on that long run, but he played phenomenal, looked really good. We'll watch that offensive highlight video again here in a second when I wrap up right before we go to Packers. Just in case anybody who joined us late missed it, did lead the show with that video. And then, of course, Del'Shawn Phillips, who I just mentioned, could step in to that linebacker role. Also limited practice with a hip here. We already talked about H2O. Tunsil was out of the game with an ankle injury. Blake Fisher came in, swing tackle guy, plays freaking phenomenal, dude. Like, let that guy play more. I'm not opposed to Tunsil, taking breaks here or there, keeping him in on certain pass plays or series or whatever it may be. But also at the same time, it does appear that Laramie Tunsil has finally, tied up his balls and strapped his boot laces up and became a man and said, I'm going to stop committing penalties. I'm going to hold myself accountable. Whatever the problem was, he fixed it. But I think that was mostly on him, even though he was trying to pass some of that stuff off to the team and cadence and left guard play. And it still may be Kenyon Green's fault there in left guard. And we did see, like I said, Blake Fisher come in, and he can even play guard at certain times. So Maybe the deficiency isn't Laramie Tunsil, right? Maybe it is his guard who's not communicating well. Go back and I look at a lot of these all 22 replays, and when CJ Stroud is pressured early in some of these 4-man rushes or stunts that they do or whatever, and it's typically a miscommunication between Laramie Tunsil and Kenyon Green on the left side. Just saying. Sometimes it's Juice Scruggs, but he's pretty darn good for a center. And since I was talking about that, I should have given you guys some names, some faces to the names, but this is what I call the no help line right there. They're the guys that I was talking about right there. And Titus Howard has been out also, and he's been also speculation that he might be a trade candidate. But I don't see that happening. We just basically paid the guy. He just needs to play better and get healthy. These guys need to stay healthy and play good. Yeah, H2O is in the protocol. You don't just get a concussion and not be in the protocol. So unfortunately, he's still going through that, and I don't think that he is going to clear in time for this game. Yes, come back to us, Christian Harris, on my IR and a lot of IDP leagues as well. So I want to say he was tied for the league lead in touchdown passes last season also. So yeah, he's on pace again. Yeah, he's going to be something to he's going to be a headache. Even though I love Jordan Love, he's going to be a headache for me on Sunday. I'm in a Battle of the Brands league where both CJ Stroud and Jordan Love are my quarterbacks in that Superflex 14-teamer. So I wish that this is going to, well, the over-under is 47.5. We'll get there in a second, but let me close up or give everybody their flowers for this last week in New England. And I do want to talk about the offense again just momentarily before we go back. But yeah, what a great game this past week was. Like I said, the Texans finally put it all together. Something you could they could hang their hat on, grow from. This is the kind of football that they should be playing. I know there was a few lapses here and there, but overall, really good. Never in doubt. I think the Patriots cut it to a touchdown lead right like with 11 seconds to go before halftime, like I mentioned. But these guys were all over the field, nightmare fuel between the three of them. Between the two of them, there was 4 sacks, 3 with Will Anderson, like I mentioned. You saw that in the video, but just great to see them play. And I think that a lot of that predicated on Joe Mixon being back in the offense. The defense has been playing pretty well, but it was good to see not only the sacks hitting home finally, but also the takeaways. A lot of that, like I said, could have been predicated on New England's terrible offensive line and the new rookie, but honestly, New England looked better than they had looked all season with Drake May. So there it is. Also saw that Drake May is having some knee issues today. I don't know if he was limited in practice, but he might get an MRI, something to that extent. Didn't see him anything crazy during the game as far as injuries. He did get hit on a Danielle Hunter sack where his hand basically went behind his back while he was throwing. It looked really odd, but yeah, he seemed to shake it off and was fine. And so this is a knee issue pertaining to Mayday, Drake May, who could be a fantasy streamer this week versus Jacksonville. Is probably the worst defense in the league. So I just wanted to say that, the Jackets. Anyhow, so yeah, like I said, they did really well all the way around. Even special teams played, pretty well. I didn't mention it here on the injury report, but I think Robert Woods has been dealing with some stuff as well. Yeah, there he is. Foot did not practice. Jimmy Ward is going to miss again. So guys in our secondary have been missing, which is probably why you got to see the Patriots kind of get to do a few things here and there, even though the Texans had that huge cushion of a lead. So yeah, that's where we are. Unfortunately, hopefully these guys can log some at least limiteds and get one full before game time this weekend out in Lambeau in this, what I believe is going to be a super fun game to watch. To get your popcorn ready, you guys make sure you have your coffee early. You set your channel up. You make sure your antenna's fixed. There's no interference. Nobody's going to bother you because this one should be a damn good one. But yeah, we'll get into it then. We'll get into it. Oh, well, let me play that video one more time for everybody. So just so y'all know, the Texans offense looks really good. I was able to throw in a little highlight video. I missed some Stephon Diggs and some Tank Dell receptions there in the middle. I didn't want to make it too lengthy, but go ahead and check out the Texans offensive day versus the Pats in week 6 one more time.
Beats, make it funky, funky, funky.
And there you have it. Texans offense looking really good, looking sharp. Shout out to YouTube for those free beats. But yes, now we can move on to the Packers game, kind of break down what we should expect or what we can probably expect coming into this week. Let's see. First, we should probably start with the DK money line and things of that nature. And I've been here all night and I forgot to do this. Hold on, give me a second.
I like big butts and I cannot lie. I like big butts and I cannot lie. I like big butts and I cannot lie.
Joe Mixon, Sir Mix-a-Lot, man. Anyways, can't believe I forgot to do that. But yeah, that's me for you. All right, so moving on to the Packers. And I got some stuff for you guys here. Unfortunately, I don't have any highlights because the game has not happened yet. But 5-1 Texans are taking on the 4-2 Packers. In Lambeau, historic Lambeau, Texans are, like I mentioned, have only won one meeting between the Green Bay Packers and the Houston Texans. So 4-1 in favor of Green Bay. But coming into this one, Houston riding a 3-game win streak. Green Bay winning the last 2 in a row. Let's not forget that they were able to also rattle off 2 wins with Malik Willis. And as mentioned before, Love last week versus Arizona had 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, 119.5 rating. And of course, on the season in 4 games that he appeared because he did have that knee injury, 12 touchdowns to 6 interception ratio. So Love, obviously really good. Offensive line, good. They're basically like a mirror of the Texans. If they can get the run game and Josh Jacobs going, they're going to play action. And then they have really athletic wide receivers who can make a play. They don't necessarily have a de facto number 1 wide receiver, kind of like the Texans, now that Nico Collins is out anyway. And a plethora of pass catchers and playmakers. Now, if you wanted to stack these guys or these teams up 1 for 1 and you say, Stroud versus Love, I'd probably call it a draw. You want to go offensive line, I'd probably give it to Green Bay, but I'm not too familiar with what they're working with over there. Then if you want to look at the running back situation, I think they're also fairly even. Maybe you want to give a nudge to Joe Mixon just because of the way he's looked in both full games where he's appeared. And then coming down to the defense, I mean, with all the injuries here on Texans defense, I would have given it to them, but at the same time, it seems like, it could be anybody's game here. So a 40, I believe, a 47.5 over under. Let me see if I can pull up some of the DK money line for us. So in the same game parlay here, oh, sorry, I got the banner covering that. We have, 47.5, I believe. The spread at the time here on DK was -3, but if you look at most of them, I think it closed to like a 2.5 at some point or whatever. If it's pushing to 3, then I don't know what information it's probably from. It could be from the Aziz Al-Shair, right? The injury, things like that. But this will probably change, in my opinion, and swinging anywhere from 3 all the way to 1.5, but probably closing at 2.5 is what I'm thinking, right? So we'll see. Like I said, anybody's game within a field goal. Typically, you get it used to be a straight field goal at home, but now it's more about 1.5 or so point swing when you're at home. So the Packers favored by 3 at the time of this screenshot earlier this morning. It would imply a fairly close game, probably less than 3 or less than the field goal. So there you have it. Oh, and here's some good news right here, or not some good news, but just some news. Christian Harris is expected to maybe return to play on October 27th. If that's true, who knows? Yeah, so the 27th, still a couple of weeks away. That's an extended IR stay. So, like I said, good news, semi-good news, not necessarily sure. But yeah, that's how we rock with it. That's how it goes. All right. But yeah. Oh, and here's the props to watch for this one as well. Like I mentioned, it was kind of like a you call it type of deal. So pay no never mind to the Stroud here on this. This is the rushing props. But Joe Mixon, 62.5, and Josh Jacobs, 62.5. Surprise, surprise. So fairly even there. And then if you come over to the other side and you look at the receiving odds here, the receiving line's a slight favor because I think the Texans wide receiver group is a little more concentrated. So you see Stephon Diggs, 69.5 is his over under as receiving yards. Tank Dell, 58.5. And then you have the next closest would be Jaden Reed for the Packers at 55.5. And then Romeo Dobbs, 44.5. And Tucker Kraft and Dalton Schultz bringing up the rear. So there are your lines if you want to bet or take a look at some of these guys or who you should probably start. And it's obviously, in my opinion, Diggs, Dell, Reed. Then you can maybe flex any of these other options. I wouldn't be looking at any of the other Packers receiving options because you just don't know. And then there is, I haven't checked the Packers injury report. I probably should have. I could probably do that really quickly, but it just depends on who's out there for, let's see, Wednesday injury report. Who's out there for the Packers Wednesday injury report? I'm just going to go to Twitter because if I look any other way, I'm going to get like injury reports from 2020 or something. So let's search Packers real quick and go to their official site. And and the Packers are going to be wearing all white with a new white helmet that they're breaking out this weekend. Totally forgot about that, to try to, I think, simulate it's like an avalanche or something, or snowed out, or I don't know what the theme was, but that's fine for me. Let's see. So Packers injury report. Come on, folks. Where are you at? Oh, come on. Packers news. Official Green Bay Packers. Here we go. So, yeah, they haven't put one up. There it is. Injury report. Man, they make you go all the way to their website. All right. Limited. Jair Alexander, limited. Kenny Clark, limited. Jonathan Ford, full practice. Did not practice. Elgin Jenkins, their guard/tackle. Tucker Kraft, limited. Josh Myers, their center guard, limited. Jaden Reed, limited. Christian Watson, limited. Dontavian Wicks, limited. Colby Wooden, defensive line, did not practice. Devontae Wyatt, defensive line, did not practice. So, I mean, fairly healthy. They got a couple limited participations from Reed, Watson, Kraft, and Alexander. So, I mean, none of these DNPs necessarily mean too much to me. But like I said, the Houston Texans on the other side, Aziz didn't practice. Fatukasi didn't practice. Lassiter didn't practice. H2O didn't practice. Jimmy Ward didn't practice. Robert Woods didn't practice. So, that's why I feel like the 3-point favor on the DraftKings line is where it is. You know what I'm saying? If they're wearing all white, what are y'all wearing? Pause. The Texans are going to be wearing their deep blue steel, the uniforms that you see here that on the screen, not the H-Town blue ones that Will Anderson Jr. and Nico Collins are wearing, but the other ones here that Derek Stingley and I think that's Tank Dell are wearing. So it's going to be the red and white collar with the Texans logo on the patch on the side, and probably white pants is my guess. But yeah, Packers going white on white on white, all white, whiting out. But there you have the DK money line props and whatnot. And let's take a deeper dive in here. So Stroud last week versus New England, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 110.5 QB rating, which is pretty good. Like I said, one of those interceptions should have been another touchdown. Probably would have been a hell of a lot better. So not too far from what Jordan Love was able to do versus Arizona. So if Jair Alexander is playing, is he shadowing Diggs? That's a question that I'd probably pose, right? And Diggs' stat line last week versus New England, he was 6 of 7 for 77 and TD, very efficient. Like I said, Packers secondaries are very good, a lot better than what most people would think. And then, of course, Tank Dell, 7 of 9 for 57 and a touchdown. So it's good to see both of those guys back and doing their thing. But, yeah, like I mentioned, the Green Bay pass defense, they allow 110 rate to tight ends. So that's probably a place that they'd be susceptible. So maybe a Dalton Schultz week this week if the Texans are smart and want to figure, hey, where's a place where we can get good chunk plays, good chunk yards, or maybe sneak this guy in for a big play to help us in certain situations to push the ball down the field, in got to score now situations. I think that's a place where they could look You know, you don't want to necessarily try to attack Jair Alexander, who likes to talk a lot of shit. So, you know, tight end there could be it, right? And we already talked about Tunsil possibly being hurt. I think that he's good. He doesn't allow pressures, but I think Blake Fisher filling in, and when they come in and they kind of have to, like, you know, hodgepodge things, a lot of times these guys communicate better and they play better for each other as an offensive unit. So less selfishness going on, perhaps. Like I said, though, Tunsil has been playing very well these last 2 games. No penalties, no pressures, no sacks, no hits, no cuts, no butts, no paper cuts. I don't know. But yeah, you get the point there. So here's another cool thing, though. Stroud versus pressure, 37.5% QB pressure rate when that's happening, but sacked 17 times on the season. And the Green Bay pass rush, it is force, although last week, not necessarily, though, on 32 pass attempts, only 19% quarterback pressure rate and no sacks. They weren't able to get home on Kyler Murray. And I do understand Kyler's a little more mobile, and I think that the game plan for them last week was to just send their front four, kind of spy Kyler, and then when he took off running, keep him from getting a big gain or a first down. So that's why you didn't see a lot of pressure or sacks last week. That might be different if Laramie Tunsil misses this week. Maybe the Green Bay Packers will dial up the pressure a little bit more. Here you have Kyler Murray's rushing versus that Green Bay defense this last week. They only allowed 14 yards to Kyler, 24 to Connor. And then I know that they got a mix-in of a couple of their backup running backs over there in Arizona who may or may not have done some damage. But like I said, basically got blown out over there, Arizona. I don't know what was going on. So, and RB's average 4.7 yards per carry in 2024 versus Green Bay. So, not a necessarily good game from Arizona. They kind of just came out flat on their face. Marvin Harrison was concussed. So, hard to take a lot of that stuff from last week, but at the same time, the Texans played the Patriots, right? So it goes both ways. I'll be fair in those regards. But on the other side of the coin, the Houston's pass D in 2024, 12 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and 82.9 rate allowed. And here's the cool, fun one. The 53.3 completion percentage allowed to opposing quarterbacks is really awesome. But overall, that 97.3 rate to wide receivers really hurts. And I think those are some of the big plays they allow. The defense is meant to get to the quarterback quick. And when that doesn't happen, they have some time in the pocket, then these guys can be susceptible to big plays, which is worrisome versus the Packers, guys like Christian Watson, Jaden Reed. So health, just like it always comes back to every single season, every single game, every single week. Just staying healthy, having enough guys, having good depth, and making sure that everybody's prepared. And it's an ample game plan for your opponent. Everybody travels well. They do what they do, right? And you just hope that everything falls in line. The chips fall where they may. And just got to hope that everybody prepares correctly. I think the Texans are dialed in, locked in, had a great game this last week. So spirits are high. Will Anderson got the H-Town chain. He was obviously the player of the week. So it's finally good to see him break out. I know Steamboat kept saying, like, when's Will Anderson going to get sacks? Well, he got you 3 fucking sacks in one game. Are you happy? He's like, shut the hell up. He basically heard you. He knows he watches the show. I put the call in. I said, Will, please do something this week. Got to shut Steamboat up. So there we go. I appreciate you, Derek. Yeah, make sure you guys are hitting the like and subscribe. And you're also checking out our sponsor, neonpeacockmerch.com, getting all the cool gear. Like this H-Town Jam sticker that I put right here. You can just order one of these and slap it on anything. Got all kinds of designs. Get your GWN stickers and Smokey the Bear stickers, whatever you want. We got it all up there on the website. So appreciate all of y'all. And like I said, go get you that stuff on sale. 35% off the website right now. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So where was I? Yes. Texans defense. We were talking about the pass defense there. Not bad. The 12 TDs allowed, not great, but through 6 weeks, not too bad, I guess. In a passing league, right? It's become a passing league. So Texans defense, though, 19 sacks, 43.1% QB pressure rate, holding running backs to 3.8 yards per carry. That's really good. We've seen them kind of bottle up running backs this season, which is great. If you can do that, then your defense usually always has a chance. Kind of a bend, don't break mentality, although they have let a few big plays in here and there, like I mentioned, and in inopportune times, but somehow still being able to survive those and winning those close games. So kudos to them on that, right? Obviously, we talked about Will Anderson Jr. getting the 3 sacks and the Danielle Hunter sack as well. He also caused the fumble. It was a sack fumble. Josh Jacobs last week versus Arizona, 18 attempts, 62 yards, 3.4 yards per carry. So I think that falls right in line with what the Houston Texans kind of allow and what's going to happen. So you probably see a similar line from Jacobs, if not worse, unless he's able to bust open a huge run. Now, I didn't mention we did have a suspension. There was a Mario Edwards suspension and a Danico, but at the same time, Danico Autry returns from suspension. This is the guy that we traded for, brought over, paid some money. He had 11.5 sacks in Tennessee, so Danico will be available. Mario Edwards, though, surprising. I think he had like 4 sacks in the season, been playing extremely well. Him and Tim Settle up the middle, so he's going to be somebody we miss. It's, his production was already there. We're going to expect Danico to come in and just kind of replace that, but it's not a given, right? So he still needs to more ramp up, maybe get into playing shape. Who knows where he's at during this whole suspension time, right, with the team, how he fits and how well he plays, because this is a new team for him as well. So the Mario Edwards suspension, and the suspension wasn't for PEDs, it was for substance, and I don't know what that means. It's probably like, who knows, right? Adderall, coke, crack, who knows, but it wasn't weed, so unfortunate there. He is going to get popped for 4 games, but we will have him back in a month. And Danico, we're just going to do the quick swap. And then maybe in 4 games, Danico gets suspended again, and we'll just keep rotating him without having to, take up that extra roster spot. So I'm joking. But yeah, we went through that. We went through the injury report, talked about the Packers leading 4-1 all time, which is unfortunate. And then, of course, Cam Akers was traded to the Vikings for that conditional. So basically covered everything on all aspects of the show. Really appreciate everybody for hanging out with me tonight. If you got any questions about who to start, what to go on, feel free to drop those in right now. I'm going to go ahead and play that defensive swarm, the Pats video one more time, give you guys a chance to throw anything in the chat before we wrap this one up. But man, I am excited to see this defense, see the challenges, see if they can rise to the occasion, even with the injuries, have that next man up mentality, have that swarm mentality. And if they can keep the Packers offense at bay, then I don't have any fear in what the Houston Texans can do on offense with Joe Mixon back and the way Tank Dell is back and the way Stephon Diggs has been playing lately. So if the defense can keep it up, then that's where it's at. And let's hope that they can do that. Let's take another look.
Hey, you right here, man. Hey, for 60 minutes. One red battle down. Don't make no fucks. I need everybody with you. Shut the tone. If they ain't well, use it. Hey, take something, take that 3. 1, 2, 3. Hey,
there you have it. And Eric Murray with the wildest interception that you'll probably see this week, maybe even this season, catching it behind the defender's helmet, tucking it away to secure the takeaway. And those are things you like to see. That was all caused by the disruptive nature there of Will Anderson Jr. at the line of scrimmage. Houston Texans should continue to do stuff like that for the remainder of the season. I think with Danico Autry now coming back, though, in the middle, should be him and Tim Settle should be good. Hopefully we can get an appeal or something. I don't know what happened with that whole suspension for Mario Edwards, but if not, we'll get him back in 4 weeks. And regardless, like I said, I know we're missing a piece there, but we're getting one back. Hopefully these other linebackers can step up in the absence, if there is an absence from guys like Al-Shaair and obviously H2O, most likely missing because of the concussion late in the fourth quarter. But yeah, these guys step up, man. Another show up, show out kind of week. This is the week to definitely do it. It's a huge measuring stick type of game for both of these teams in Lambeau this weekend. Like I said, the NFL probably screwed up by not flexing this to a primetime game, but oh well. We're going to have to get up early and kick it off with some cup of coffee. And that's typically what happens with me. Then the anxiety goes up. I'm watching the game, and then I jump on the stream later because this noon game, right? And they should have known this. Jordan Love and CJ Stroud, they should have known it was going to be a good one. Should have flexed it. But, oh, well, it is what it is. Keeping in with the routine, Texas has been playing pretty well on the road in the noontime game or the 1 p.m. game for the East Coasters. Even earlier for you guys over there on the West Coast, feel pretty bad for you. But with that, guys, I am going to close it down. I think maybe I can move this. I want to try moving this podcast to a later date so I can get more injury news, or maybe do like a Friday evening or Saturday midday, just update. That way you guys know what's going on as far as the injury report and what the matchup looks like. Maybe if the money line changes, things of that nature. But doing it on Wednesday does work really well, but it's only one injury report, so I do like to have a little bit more information. That way I can make ample predictions. This week I am going to take Houston by a fair margin, probably covering the spread. Let's go Houston 28, Packers 24 in a slightly lower scoring game than I usually predict, but 28-24 Houston over the Packers. That's what I'm saying. Big game from Joe Mixon. Tank Dell shines even brighter. Those are my predictions. Hopefully the defense keeps it going. But yeah, I will close. Typically I'll do my 30-second H-Town intro, outro that I did. But since I made these videos early today, I want to go ahead and use them again. So we will finish with the offense one more time. Just got to see that. But the H-Town Huddle update show, great idea. Love it. Love it. Yeah, we can do that. Just, something quick, maybe 15 minutes, nothing crazy, but just some quick hitters. That way you get all your information really quickly right before the weekend matchup on Sunday. So appreciate everybody once again coming up on the 1 hour mark. We're going to go ahead and close it down for the evening, but perhaps we'll be back Friday, Saturday, something like that with an update for you. We'll see what happens if there's any news to deliver, but keep it locked into the GWN network. Make sure you're visiting neonpeacockmerch.com, our sponsor with all the great deals, and make sure you're checking out all the shows. Tomorrow we will have a Thursday Night Football live watch party set up. I forgot who's playing. I think it's like one team and then a bunch of backups from the other because of injuries. So we've lost a lot of good men out there, guys. We've lost a lot of good men out there. But once again, appreciate everybody, like I said, for showing up and showing out. As always here, Wednesdays, 8:30-ish Central Time. So, yeah, all right. Appreciate you guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Love you all. Peace, love, chicken grease. We will catch you next Wednesday, if not sooner, for an update.